Hello everyone and welcome to another video of Fox Reacts. Today we're jumping into a brand new vid from Joshscorcher, Top 10 Weirdly Sexy Bosses in Video Games. So let's hop on in and see just what kinds of people can jingle this man's jostles. That did not sound anywhere as good as what I thought it would. Oh well. Still love this badass intro of his. Intro never gets old. Alright, on to the list.
There are no rules to love, so let's just dance.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. What seems like a beast to some may just be a beauty to others. We don't try to judge others for what they perceive as sexy, so instead, in honor of the month of love, we're paying tribute to the bosses that are sexy. In a way that no one can describe, but just feels right for some reason. A few ground rules. First of all, absolutely no underage characters. You gotta be this tall to get on the Love Boat, kiddies. Second, we'll be choosing our rankings based on two factors. One, why do people find this attractive? Again, not here to kink shame, just need the blanks filled in. Two, how much erotica is there surrounding them? Are they sensational, or do they just have that subtle...
So, wait. He's making this based off the two factors of how they look and how much... Yeah, we'll deep enough into the video, I could say. How much porn was created of a person? Damn. You know what? In all honesty, that's how I do a list. It's based on looks and the amount of porn. Like, wow, that is so... Why is there so much? Wow, that is just... Okay.
something. Finally, and this is a big one, we're not limiting ourselves to just one gender. We're an equal opportunity countdown, people.
Cool.
Male, female, non-binary, it doesn't matter to us as long as they got that special something that's bound to thrill
if they got that something, then
but
it's fine.
admittedly, I realized I was out of my depth for a lot of these entries. So I brought on Armau to try and help explain a few of those particular ones where I just have absolutely no frame of reference.
And now, let's start the countdown. The one where we see how long it takes for us to get demonetized.
You knew exactly what you were getting into as soon as you came up with the title.
It's good to see this couple going together. Here we go.
Kicking off this list is a 2-for-1 special with two eerily identical ladies from the same franchise. Chaos Witch Kolog from Dark Souls 1 and Scorpioness Nachka from Dark Souls 2. I say eerily identical because they both come from different backgrounds. Kolog was once a daughter of the series' overarching baddie, but became corrupted by a backfired spell, which turned her into an enormous spider-human hybrid. Meanwhile, Nachka was once human before she and her lover were transformed into scorpion hybrids. She was a peaceful lady before she lost her mind and went completely feral. Kolog prefers to use her swordsmanship and fiery magic, while Nachka prefers dark magic, her spears and her 2 stingers.
So yeah, not exactly two sides of the same coin, but they both have one thing in common. A complete disregard for shirts. Oh, and they're also both monstrous arachnid beasts from the waist down. Already it's easy to see what makes them so attractive. From the waist up, they're both very alluring ladies with hair growing out of their bosoms. That's how it works, right? On the other hand, they're attached to creepy crawlies that want to murder you. And it's even worse if you're an arachnophobe. On the other hand, there's definitely an appeal for attractive people with animal legs, like with merfolk and centaurs. Depending on who you ask.
Why couldn't she be the other kind of mermaid, with the fish part on top and the lady part on the bottom?
I actually don't want to think about that with spiders and scorpions. Yeah, not a lot to say about these two, just that they're crawling embodiments of a siren, luring us in with their beauty, then looking to tear us limb from limb with their literal wild side. But hey, overlook the arachnid halves, and you still got 2 corrupt, feral psychopaths. I guess really it's just a matter of taste. I mean, we got quite a few anime shows about this, so it's tapping into something.
I know at least 2 of the ones you just did. Monster and Rosary plus Vampire.
Oh, Carmelita Montoya. I have a different voice actress every game. Fox. I mean, come on, they don't even try to get a sound alike?
Now, aside from the anthropomorphic fox thing, it's not hard to see why Carmelita is attractive. She's a feisty, kick-ass cop lady who dresses quite interestingly, and no one can say she doesn't have the figure for it. To really hammer the point in, they have her dressed in a shorter skirt and had a belly dancer outfit in These a Time. They're not even trying to hide it.
Of course, her just being a foxy lady in
They
a
are
more
trying
literal
to
sense
build
wouldn't
it.
be enough to get her on the list. I mean, we're kinda cheating as is, since the boss isn't really Carmelita, but the Mask of Dark Earth. But technicalities are for other lists.
Speaking of the Mask of Dark Earth, normally it makes those who wear it a bit larger and a lot more aggressive, thanks to the chemicals in Bentley's sleeping darts somehow interacting with the magic mask. Okay, Sly
Made
Cooper
her
is silly
even
sometimes,
bigger.
don't question it. Carmelita goes from a bit larger to full-on giantess.
Furry
Gigantus.
and giantess.
It's 2 for 1.
It is
Don't
a
you just
2 for
love
1.
a good bargain? It's like coupons.
Sexy
It's not bad.
coupons.
The boss fight
Like those
then
weird,
consists of
sexy
Sly
dice some people
shimmening
get
up
for
Carmelita's
Valentine's
clothes
Day.
to get at the mask itself. I can only assume Sucker Punch was on some good stuff when they came up with that, because I don't think I could come up with
yeah.
anything half as bizarre while sober.
I'll give credit, this is one of the few fights in the series that makes full use out of Sly's perk as a sneaky platformer, especially since he's not always built for one-on-one combat. Not to say those can't be just as great, but who would have thought you'd find one that complements Sly's style
Oh,
in a
yeah.
battle against his ultramanized girl-frenemy? Well, however this came about, an Anthrofox Giantess is definitely deserving of a spot on a strangely sexy list, if a low
Definitely.
one. There's plenty stranger yet to come.
Definitely. I will agree with that.
When will you people
Oh,
realize
whoa.
that robots are erotic?
Metaton is a celebrity of the underground,
Really?
built by Alphys and modified into a human
okay.
killing machine. He's a showrunner, a performer, and a comedian. And like most comedians, he loves his black humor. But he used through
does.
fake quizzes, a race to bake a pre-baked cake, and a theater show. That leads to a callback to Papyrus's Maze. Toby either has really high expectations for our intelligence or a really low one.
Either way, it's awesome. You could see his celeb status is no bluff. People really do adore him. So much so, his face is
For a
on
while, at
all
least.
their merchandising. Some even unironically find him physically attractive.
Okay, Ari, could you please explain to me why this glorified calculator is considered sexy?
Well, you
Oh,
see,
you gotta
darling,
flip the switch.
they look past the
Click.
robot and see only the inner David Bowie.
The inner David Bowie?
Oh, yes.
Huh, I guess that is a way of explaining Neo.
Now I think I get it.
Exactly. Embrace the inner stardust.
it's not bad.
Dance magic, darling. Embrace.
When you finally
Chill,
confront
chill.
Metaton for real, you see his EX form. A stylish android
Right,
with a
EX,
knack for
not
dancing.
Neo.
Between his
Sorry.
luscious fringe, narrow waist, and extensive legs, he's the pinnacle of glamour. Heck, this whole fight is centered around showing off how tactical you can be. Taking the interest of audiences into account and using it to increase the viewership ratings. All the while, Metaton attacks with his brand of tricky moves as you shoot through his projectiles and foresee him rewinding his attacks.
Even as his body slowly crumbles, it hardly deters his performance skills. He fights on for the
needs
sake of his
arms when you
pride
got
as the
legs?
underground's majestic shining star.
Arms? Who needs arms when you have legs like these?
Ow.
I'm still going to win.
Ah, I just
Metaton
said
is a
that.
performer who's absolutely worth the iron he's built with. Great sense of style, humor, and unwavering confidence on the stage. No matter how low he falls, he'll always
Yep,
leave a
and those
Metaton-shaped
without
hole
legs,
in our
the end of the fight.
Metaton-shaped hearts.
I wonder if we're gonna have a punch-up
No
boss.
more heroes. The fun, if not crazy, very crazy. Hack and slash made by
Definitely.
genius, the unique game designer,
There you go.
Suda51. Travis, being the horny otaku he is, spends the first 2 games trying to get laid. And that's about it. No, I'm just kidding. He kills a lot of people too. Fitting for this list, but it's the sexy head of the Assassins Association, Sylvia, that he wants to get with. Try saying that 5 times fast. Too bad, because there are plenty of assassins he could stick his sword through. He just does it with his katana instead.
I'll admit, most of the assassins
I
are
get
pretty
it.
normal looking, excluding No More Heroes 3, with characters like Alice, Badgirl, and John being standouts to fans. But then we have the poison-spitting inmate from No
What
More Heroes
the-
2 that really wants to stick her tongue down Travis's throat.
I know we already used this joke when
Huh.
Chloe was an honorable mention, but
Toxic love.
Oh.
Chloe, while she is a pretty attractive person, all things
I can see
considered, the problem comes with her personality. She's a sadistic assassin that shrieks like a banshee and spits acid like she's a muck. She uses her looks and sex
I get
appeal
it.
to lure
Well-
people in, only to immobilize them with her shrieks and then tries to kill them with an acid tongue bath. So she's
Yeah.
a re-dead with acid attacks. a sexy redhead with acid saliva.
Oh, God.
And now that image is in my head. Thanks, Chloe.
Of course, by looks alone,
thanks.
people find
You're
her
right.
attractive, but there's a certain finesse of the banshee siren way she acts that brings people to her side.
I guess.
Travis freed her so he could get some, but turned out she isn't his type. Luckily, a well-timed sword katana activation helped get her off of him. Guess Travis does like it a bit. Yeah, this entry's getting weird.
Chloe doesn't
I
have a
get-
lot of
yeah,
screen
maybe.
time, and
I
she's
don't
one of the
know.
easiest
Maybe.
bosses in the game. But the first cutscene where she's introduced left a strong impression on a lot of people, hence why she's here. Just remember, if you see a girl locked away in a prison in the middle of an isolated island, do not free her, no matter what Travis tells you.
Yeah. Why would I want to even do that?
Horror
back.
is something most of us find subjective. Different things scare different
Mm-hmm.
people, and some find one method of horror much more jarring than the other.
Yeah.
Whether it's dark, creeping ambiances, big, empty voids, or disdain for a particular type of animal or object.
Yep.
Regardless
right,
of what scares you, though, I think we can all agree on a single primal form of horror. Something that strikes fear into the hearts of even the bravest, most stalwart
What
person
the-
out there. The unspeakable, unfathomable terror
What's
that
the
is...
FNAF?
A white woman!
Look! Samus's cousin put on her fursuit again!
Vanessa is the security guard patrolling the Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex.
Huh.
She's the first human NPC to be fully featured in a FNAF game, which
people
is
never really
kind
talk
of
about
jarring considering the only human NPC beforehand was behind a speakerphone. She appears hostile at first, strictly looking for Gregory, to the point where he's even scared of her. But looking through some of her personal info, you can see she's just a
Yeah.
security lady doing her job and living her life, all the while dealing with her own episodes of depression.
Adding to that caviar of cryptic, you're haunted by the presence of Vanny, a bunny suit cosplayer who's been hacking the animatronics to attack Gregory. Essentially, picking up from Help Wanted after she's brainwashed by Glitchtrap.
Yep.
There are theories speculating whether Vanny and Vanessa are the same person or not. They share the similar names,
it's
show
already
up
been
consecutively, and never physically appear together.
I mean, it's already been proven. Even in some of the endings, you can actually see Vanny mask dropped on the floor, and then Vanessa like walking away from it.
One of the endings allude to them being two
See?
different people,
See?
possibly twins, as one dies while the other's still alive. But it can also allude to Vanessa's spirit looking down to her own demise, given how she's standing calmly within the burning pizzaplex. Whatever the reason may be, it sure
I can
adds to
see
the
that.
fascinating connotations around Vanessa and her alter ego complex. Or rather, her sister's alter ego complex?
We have no idea.
This series hates clarity almost as much as I hate puns.
Almost.
I guess in a game series where getting turned on by animatronics has become such of a norm, there's something weirdly
it's a
endearing
norm.
about an average security lady sticking out among them like a sore thumb. Though as Vanny, she does have the
Yeah.
animatronic spirit going for her, prancing around in a suit until you enter her line of vision and she, alas, remembers to kill you.
It's
Yep.
easy to get excited over a
Capsule
pretty woman who may or may not be a serial killing furry, but it's underwhelming that you don't even encounter her that often. Heck, her AI is one of the worst in the game, so you won't even get caught by her unless you really didn't pay enough attention to your surroundings, or go out of your way to let her do so. Then again,
Yeah,
with how
indeed.
big and cultured the community is, I don't doubt that the
to
latter has happened
tell
a
anything.
fair amount of times.
Alright, moving on.
Puns. My gosh.
AKA Christmas time for Ari.
Yes, every once in a while, even
Oh,
I, a
the
notorious
Gungeon.
pun hater, must grin and bear it for the sake of my audience, especially when it involves a game practically founded by puns, i.e.
Amoconda.
Enter the Gungeon, a weird
Nice.
combination of bullet hell and roguelike games about four adventurers that traverse through a gun-happy dungeon. A gungeon, if you will.
I like it.
And shoot through some of the weirdest freaking bosses you'll ever see.
horror.
Yeah, this game doesn't take
Gross.
itself seriously in the least. And yet, it's kind of brilliant with what it is.
The
It's
last
creative,
human?
it's bizarre, it's over the top, which kind of leads to our boss for this entry. Within the first chamber, the Keep of the Lead Lord, we stumble upon a nest with a Gatling gun in it. Then a giant bird swoops down and grabs the gun and...
Muscle!
Those are some massive pecs.
Eh?
Those are some impressive pets.
Yeah.
Gatling
This is what we're
Gull.
dealing with, folks. Gatling Gull. A muscular, bird-headed thing with a Gatling gun.
Nice.
This has got to be one of, if not the stupidest thing I've ever seen wielding a firearm. This
Yeah.
week.
Right. Yes, I see your point, but consider abs.
Okay, she's got me there. This oversized chicken is literally
Nah,
taking
I
us to
don't
the
have
gun
abs.
show. It's got muscles for days and hairy armpits, has a massive ball of testosterone. So if you're the kind of gal or guy who likes the burly type and doesn't mind a deranged bird head, then Gatling Gull is absolutely...
Nope, threshold has been filled.
Oh, come
Does
on.
that mean that I get to do the rest of the video on my own?
Come on back, Josh. You know you can.
I'm better now.
I'm not.
Enter the Gungeon is really freaking weird.
No, what I think is weird is that after you beat Gatling Gull, a swarm of bullets surround him and consume his corpse. Like, nothing's left, not even bone. That's just straight cannibalism.
I hear this country's where they do the dance of the seven bells. We tell you more, but we would have the censor on our tails.
Yeah, I guarantee at least some of you saw this one coming.
Yeah.
The Shantae series practically screams fan service all wrapped up in a fun platforming game. Our half-genie hero herself is video gaming's own Barbara Eden with a revealing ensemble and most of her magic being cast by belly dancing, which is actually pretty good exercise from what I've been told. But what do I know? Exercise. But don't think the fan service stops with just her. Ooh, no. A good chunk of the ladies in the series are easy on the eyes and generous with the skin. Giga Mermaid, Risky Boots, Color Swap Shantae, I mean Nega Shantae. And our lady of choice for this list.
Rotty Tops, the free-spirited, mischievous zombie gal, and arguably one of the most developed characters in the series. She likes messing with people and has a craving for brains. Shantae's brains, to be precise. And yet, she's not exactly a bad person, sentient corpse, whatever. The only time she's really a boss or enemy is in the original Shantae game, where you have to race her through the graveyard. If you win, she'll help you through the dungeon. If you lose, she gets your brains. Here's the thing, though. Even if you lose, she'll give you the option to try again, which proves she's not purely evil. Just a little shit sometimes. After that, the preceding games show Roddy evolve from a cheeky little cadaver to a lonely little carcass and one of Shantae's closest friends. She's even a playable character in the Half Genie Hero DLC. So yeah, she's a great character, but what makes her weirdly sexy? You got eyes, you tell me.
Roddy's already got an attractive design, following the franchise's traditional generous amount of skin showing whilst rocking the short shorts and tank top. She's also not afraid to get a little skimpier in later games. On the other hand, she's a zombie. Her skin's rotting green, her limbs are all stitched on, some better than others, and she can take off her head to recite Shakespearean quotations.
Nice
or to use as a shot put.
And of course, there's the whole issue of if being attracted to her counts as necrophilia since she's technically dead. Or would it be
Yeah, that's always one of the tough things to figure out. I mean, if you want to stick you in a zombie, is it necrophilia? Because it may be a dead body, but they are alive, or alive enough. So, most people can never really come to the agreement that you can or can't without it being necrophilia. You know what? People, I want you to debate that down in the comments. Excuse me. Is doing a zombie necrophilia? I want to hear both sides, and I want to see where you all stand.
Verse necrophilia since she's undead, or would it even matter since she's a video game character and not actually real?
You know what? Debate this in the comments. I don't care.
I do.
I just said that as well.
Salt feeds my soul.
You must
At the end of the day, you gotta choose. Do you suppress your feelings for Rotty out of fear that they're kinda illegal? Or do you take the chance and pine for a free-spirited, kinda cheeky gal? Of course, at the latter, you'll also be running the risk of her wanting to eat your brains. The things we do for love.
Yeah. We're back.
Alright, time for waifu emblem. So, what's it gonna be? Valadar? Iago? Garneth?
I don't know anything of it.
Can't be that weird, right?
I cannot blame you for wanting to touch something so beautiful.
Nah, screw it. Let's go all in.
Welcome to the beauty that is Oliver. Inferior beings must stand down to the exquisite form before you. He puts on the radiance and the radiant duology. Without him, the Fire Emblem series as we know it would cease to exist, as there is no waifus without Oliver. He was first introduced in Path of Radiance as a generous man, helping out the poor herons after their forest was destroyed by the peasants of Begignon. To save the unrivaled beauty of the herons, unrivaled save Oliver, he selflessly went on a mission to find the remaining ones and keep them safe in his own abode. Unfortunately, the goddess's favorite star was stopped in his divine mission by the low-born, vulgar, penurious vermin Ike who attempted to strike down the Oliver in all of their elegance. Luckily, the land did not weep that day, as the Adonis that is Oliver was saved by his fellow senators. He had to withdraw from society for 3 whole years. How painful that must have been for the world. The tears that were shed in the absence of such beauty were immeasurable to count. Even the goddess Ashura could not contain her emotions for such an event, and when she awakened, turned all of the imperfections into statue, save, of course, Oliver and his compatriots. Unfortunately, the vermin led by the villain Ike were spared by the lesser goddess Yune, and they confronted the allurement that is Oliver at his home. Oliver bravely fought against the tides of the vermin with all his strength, but when the noble heron on the opposite team fell on the encompassing eye of the grace that is Oliver, he leapt to action to bravely protect the noble bird from the bloody weapons of his own troops.
Okay, I honestly don't have any idea what the hell he's talking about, or anything that involves this guy. And the more he says Oliver, the more I get a little uncomfortable.
An action so noble that even the villain Ike sang praise for our stylized hero, so much so that he even jests the shapeliness that is Oliver should go back to the opposing side, as he could not handle the symmetry that is Oliver. This act of heroism shows that even when it comes to the protection of beauty, the glamour, the polish, the beauty that is Oliver will strike down any foe, even the goddess herself!
With what? The glare from his head?
Despite Oliver's inherent selfishness and misplaced vanity, his ego is so inflated that it almost comes off as charming. Almost. He's a meme, but one that really shows the different interests and characterization of the many, many characters in Fire Emblem. In a series with so many attractive male and female characters, Oliver is a breath of fresh air. I can't believe I just said that. And when he was introduced in Heroes, well, must I say more? Too bad he was a part of the Laguz slave trade. Yeah, we're not forgetting that.
Well, let's just move the hell on, because I have nothing to say about that.
Now we're really getting into the weird ones.
Oh my
the previous entries, for the most part, had conventionally attractive traits, or were at least human. While Luigi, on the other hand, looks like he was on the receiving end of a falcon punch. So what is there to find attractive about this guy?
Well, people like an underdog, and someone who can bust a move gets sexy points.
But it's Waluigi!
You asked me to explain it, not to make you agree with it. Dem body rolls, though.
No!
Well, it's simple. Waluigi's got legs for days. And if there's one thing the Onceler has taught us, it's that stick-thin characters tend to get certain groups of people hot and bothered. Emo hair or not. Another thing Waluigi has going for him is his underdog status. Seriously, it's been over 20 years since he's been introduced, and he still hasn't gotten a game to call his own. In fact, Waluigi has never appeared in a Nintendo-developed 2D game. And if there's one thing we've seen, it's certain minor characters becoming massively popular.
Being such a minor character, Waluigi has had limited appearances as a boss fight. While he appeared as a villain in Mario Party 3, you never actually had a battle against him one-on-one. But the battle that we think really catapulted him into potential husbando status was in DDR Mario Mix, where suddenly Waluigi busts out a frickin' disco remix of Wrecking Crew.
Is that why people want him in Smash? So they can smash?
You ruined it. You ruined it and I'm leaving.
Yep, you ruined it. That's come on.
I should get a cookie for making him leave so many times.
With that said, Waluigi avoids being number one due to the relative lack of pieces made of him. So while he definitely has fangirls and boys, they're very much a rare breed. Then again, any Mario character's horniness potential is dwarfed by the breakout success of Bowsette.
If the potential for a waifu exists, people will make one.
This is the G-rated version of Rule 63.
Pretty much. Honorable mention.
Macho DDD, Kirby Star Allies. Goes from extra thick to extra ripped.
Copperhead, Arkham Origins. Yeah, she's literally toxic, but apparently snakes can be sexy.
Lies!
Ultra Greed, Binding of Isaac. It's all the butt. Simple as that.
Oogie Boogie, Oogie's Revenge. The walking bag of bugs might be a deal breaker, but that voice.
Fontina, Pokemon Gen 4. Yeah, she needs an attitude adjustment and a haircut, but you can't say she doesn't strut her stuff.
So, is this guy gonna be number one?
Alright, for our number 1 entry, we have a Silent Hill character.
Silent Hill?
Sexy nurses?
Pyramid Head?
Pyramid will punish you with his big scary knife because you came to Silent Hill, but then you killed your wife. Killed your wife.
Is this a similar thing to how people thought the Babadook or Pennywise were sexy?
Boy, you asking the wrong person.
Pyramid Head, one of the most iconic video game enemies of all time. In terms of both explicit and implicit horror, he's got it all. From his massive knife to his freakishly huge helmet, everything about him just screams, run. In the story, Pyramid Head is a recurring boss that shows up to torment James throughout the story. With every turn you take, there's always the possibility that he could be waiting for you.
It's not until the end when we finally learn the origin of Pyramid Head. As it turns out, James suppressed the memory of killing his wife, Mary. Spoilers? This game is like 20 years old? This caused him to internalize his guilt and anguish over it. Pyramid Head is the living embodiment of James' need for punishment. No, not that kind of punishment, jeez. So with all this said, you probably noticed we avoided explaining what people find sexy about him. Here's our answer.
I know what we said about Waluigi, but Pyramid Head's even more improbable. What about this living embodiment of self-hatred screams good bedfellow? I guess you could argue that he's really handsome under the helmet, but still. Yet as shown by the sheer amount of smut based off him, there's clearly something that people find attractive about him. Though, does it really count when many of those pics are just a super jacked guy wearing a Pyramid Head helmet?
Looking back on it, we did see plenty of thirst over the Babadook and Pennywise, so it's not like this was a one-time deal. Or who knows, maybe it's just the whole thrill of the kill thing that gets their engines running. To be perfectly serious, I don't think that there's anything wrong with a person if they find these characters attractive. Everyone's gonna have some oddly specific thing that turns them on. Besides, I'd rather have people be lusting over video game monsters as opposed to real-life serial killers.
I'm Joshscorcher.
And I am here for the food.
And, that was a long and hard countdown to get through.
Oh my god.
What?
And that was Joshscorcher's top 10 weirdly sexy bosses in video games. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, down in the description will be a link to the original video, so remember to support the creator and all they do, and I'll see all of you folks next time. Have a good one!